Hey everybody, here for Growing Up Hip Hop, Season 1, Episode 2. I'm talking kind of low because my daughter's asleep, but I hope you can hear me. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold also. But let's get into it. It basically continue where it left off last week with Angela being confronted by her stalker. So Angela is in her car and she's freaked out and she's like, yeah, I'm sitting there and I in the section. Next thing I know, she taps me and she's like, hey, Angela. So I just ran up out of there really, really quick. So, her friend is like, well, I don't see her, but if anything happens, we got your back. So they show the door of the club, and next thing you know, out comes this lady who they say is the stalker. So Angela drives off. So behind her, Pepper comes out. Pepper, her daughter, no, Pepper and her niece come out. Damon Dash comes out, and she's like, Damon Dash is like, well, I don't know what your approach is to Angela, but you're making her a little bit uncomfortable. She's like, me making her uncomfortable? No, I just wanted a picture. And Damon Dash is like, well, she just feels a little bit uncomfortable. She feels like you may be stalking her. She's like, no, I'm not stalking her. I'm just a fan. I just wanted a picture. So he was like, well, maybe you need to change your approach. And she's like, confused, like she's giving a look. And at first, when I saw her, I thought she was the stalker until I heard her speak. And I'm like, okay, I don't think she's the stalker. I think it's somebody else. And maybe Angela is just so freaked out or whatever. She just thinks that anybody that's coming up to her is trying to stalk her. So, she's a little bit paranoid. So, the lady was like, no, I just wanted to take a picture. So she took a picture with Pepper. I think she took a picture with Damon Dash. And Damon Dash was like, well, you're a beautiful person, but you might want to change your approach on how to get close to Angela. And I'm like, but I don't even think that's the person that's stalking her. So Angela and Kanayo, who I think is her friend, her publicist, I forgot who she is. But they're discussing the situation, and Kanaya was like, well, you got up out of there so fast. She was like, listen, that's a person that's been writing me on Instagram every day, all day. So, I think that's my stalker. And, Kanaya was like, maybe she's not a stalker. Maybe she just wanted to take a picture with you, and you overreacted. So, I understand where Kanayo came from, and I understand why Angela feels the way that she feels because there's somebody legit stalking her. So, um, what else happens? Oh, Christinia goes to meet up with her uncle, and her uncle tells her that her father relapsed, and he's not in jail. He hasn't reached out to anybody to let anybody know what's going on with him. So Christinia is like very, she's sad for her dad, and she's like, I just really want to see my dad and tell him how much I love him and let him know that I'm here for him. Um, so while all of this is going on, Angela is trying to prepare for her faux fur launch. Sorry. Angela's trying to prepare for her faux fur launch and get all the logistics and everything together. So, um, Romeo, Romeo was like taking meetings or whatever, preparing for the No Limit takeover, and he gets a call from I think his agent saying that he got the lead role in Jarheads 3, but the filming for it, like to start filming it to go on set, it's in Bulgaria in 2 weeks. So he has a lot to think about because he's trying to do the No Limit takeover and he wants to do this movie, which is in 2 weeks, which is like that's a small window of time for him. So he just has a lot on his plate, a lot on his plate, and a lot to think about. And he was auditioning girls for a music video, asking them if they knew how to twerk. He had one of the girls teach another girl how to twerk. It was just hilarious. Um, so Egypt is trying to get in the music business. Like, she's trying to get on the same level as her mom and get into music. So her mom is taking her on a performance with Salt and Pepper, and she's showing Egypt the ropes, how to perform, when to come in. They're practicing, Egypt was way offbeat. Like, they were both offbeat actually. But I'm sitting there and I'm watching Egypt and I'm like, she has the look, she has the potential. She just needs to put in the work. Like performing and rapping or whatever it is that she wants to do, it takes a lot more than standing up there with a mic. Like you gotta have personality, you gotta have, confidence. And Egypt, you could tell she's nervous. You can tell that she's thinking so much in her head. So she just has a lot to work on. Who else? I mean, this episode was mostly about Angela, Romeo, and Christinia. And Angela, she's freaking out about her because it's the day of her presentation, so she's freaking out because she's trying to get in touch with Christinia. Christinia is not picking up. She's trying to get in touch with TJ. TJ's not picking up. But somebody told her that TJ was en route to the presentation. So like minutes before she has to do her show, Christinia calls her and she's like, "Hey, I'm not gonna be able to make it, or whatever." So Angela gets upset and she's like, "You know what? I don't have time for this right now. I gotta go." So I'm like, Angela, just relax. Like usually when stuff is chaotic in the back or whatever during these types of shows, it always excuse me, it always comes into fruition towards the end. At the very last minute, it always comes together. So minutes before the show is about to start, TJ comes in, and Angela's happy, and she's like, "Thank God, because I thought I wasn't gonna have a DJ." So TJ comes and he's like, "Yeah, me and Angela are like brother and sister. We grew up together. So we're just I always got her back. I'm always gonna be there for her." So after the show, Angela, she's doing her interviews and whatnot. A guy comes in, and one of the guys that were there, he was like, "Excuse me, do you have an invite? You don't belong here," or something like that. And the guy was like, "Oh well, I saw this on Instagram." So Angela is standing there, and she's looking like, side eyeing it. And the guy was like, "No, this is only industry. This is industry only." So he calls over Angela's security guard to check the back door, and he's like, "Yeah, I just had a guy randomly come in here." Oh my gosh, sorry. I told you I think I'm getting a cold or whatever, so I'm over here and it's like a lot of like I feel like air like right here or whatever. I'm sorry. But yeah, he's like, "Yeah, I just had a guy come in and I just want to make sure this back door is secure or whatever." So, that made Angela nervous too. So, after the show, Romeo was just basically telling her, well, Romeo came with his girlfriend finally, and Angela's like, "Well, finally, I get to meet his girlfriend. She seems sweet. She's a very pretty girl. We'll just see how everything goes." So, her and Romeo go and they talk, and, she's like, "Well, Christinia's not here. Boogie got here. I mean, not Boogie. TJ got here late, so I was just nervous." And Romeo was like, "You gotta relax. You gotta chill. Everything came together at the very last hour, and you should be proud of yourself. You should be celebrating. You shouldn't be stressing." So she's like, they go to take a picture, and she's like, "Well, if we take a picture, everybody gonna say we together." And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Why don't we just kiss and end it all?" Like, as a joke. But I honestly feel like there's some like serious chemistry or something with Romeo and Angela, because Angela be saying, like, they both be saying stuff and I'll be peeping it. Like last episode he said he was gonna smack her on the butt, and then he said something this episode like, she can't be sitting here being all upset and looking all sexy. Well, I can't say that because my girl here. I'm like, you sitting up here talking about Angela, you want that girl. Why don't y'all just stop playing? Why don't you get with her? So for some odd reason, Angela and Tanita, who is Romeo's girlfriend, they're at the gym working out. So while they're working out, Angela's just getting to know her, and she's asking her, "Do you see yourself marrying Rome?" And she's like, "Yeah, I definitely do." And Angela's like, "Well, what was your first relationship like before Romeo?" And she's like, "Well, honestly, he is my first relationship." And she's like, "Oh, okay, I get it." And she said the only reason why Like, if they do have any issues, it's because Tanita is a bad communicator and she has trust issues. So, Angela's just basically trying to get to know her. And she's like, well, I don't know why. Romeo feels the need to want me and her to work out. I guess he wants me to approve of her or whatever. I'm like, he wants you to do something. I don't know. This is like weird. Like this whole it's like a love triangle to me almost. That's what it feels like. So anyway, Egypt is performing with Salt and Pepper, and she comes out and she performs with them, and I'm like, okay, Egypt, you need a lot of work, but okay. But it was good to see Salt and Pepper, all three of them up there. Like, I love Salt and Pepper. I wish they would come out with another single, another album or something. I don't know, but I love Salt and Pepper. So Christinia is with her roommate, and they're driving around California. I think they're going to Skid Row, she said, looking for her dad. So as they're driving down, you see like the area is run down. People out there are really struggling. They're really like, out of it. Like it's like a zombie world. So Christinia is like, wow, this is like very intense and scary right now. So they basically ended it right there. They didn't say if she found her father yet, but Christinia is like, this is very like heartbreaking, and it was like, just to see all of those people, they're sick, they need help, they're homeless, they don't have nowhere to turn. Like, that is very sad. So while Angela and Tanita are working out, some flowers arrive for Angela. So Angela is like, oh, she's thinking that it's from Romeo, because she's like, well, Romeo's in town. He wanted me to take his girlfriend out as a favor. So maybe this is his gift for me doing him that favor. So they get back to, I think, Romeo's hotel. And she says to Romeo, oh, thank you for the flowers. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about? She's like, the flowers you sent. He's like, I never sent you any flowers. And she's like, oh my God, you're joking, right? And he's like, no, I never sent you flowers. She's like, oh my God, I think the stalker sent it. And then it basically ended right there. So, I mean, this episode was pretty good. I just feel like they're kind of dragging things out. Like, I really wish they would get to the point with Christinia and her father already. I really wish they would get to the bottom of who Angela's stalker is. I mean, I know they have to stretch it out, but it's like they keep stretching it out episode and episode, like, feeding us a little bit. I mean, that's what they usually do, but it's like they're doing it, like, on purpose this time. But, this episode was pretty good. I just really feel like, I don't know, Angela and Romeo, they have a weird chemistry together. And I know I'm not the only one that thinks that. They have weird chemistry together. And Egypt does need a lot of work, but she's still young. She still has to be molded and shaped to be the type of artist that she wants to be. So, but I mean, for what it was, this episode was pretty good. But like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Later.